Taiwan wants to go net zero carbon by 2050. Stash speaks to members of the Taiwan Youth Climate Coalition to find out what that will take.
A magnitude 6.6 earthquake hit Taiwan Wednesday. We'll tell you how it stacks up to prior tremors.
Blue and yellow orchids, anyone? Only at the Taiwan International Orchid Expo.
And in Hashtag Taiwan, can you guess who these 9 strapping and stylish people are? If not, I'll tell you. This is Taiwan Insider.
The climate crisis is here. Every corner of the planet is experiencing extreme weather patterns. They're causing floods and cold snaps in some places and droughts and heat waves in others. Just last week, Antarctica was up to 40 degrees Celsius hotter than normal. That's about 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Taiwan's government says it will publish its plan for reaching net zero carbon emissions by the end of this month. But how is the climate crisis affecting Taiwan? I spoke to 2 members of the Taiwan Youth Climate Coalition, Han-wei and Chen, to find out.
Taiwan actually faces a lot of different types of threats. Taiwan experienced the worst drought in 56 years from May to June this year. However, after the drought, the floods happened at southern Taiwan, which implied the extreme rainfall is now the top climate crisis. Fewer but stronger typhoons may occur in Taiwan, which is like the greatest threat will happen in the future. Taiwan's average annual temperature increased by 1.6 degrees Celsius over the past 110 years, which is above the global average of 1.07 degrees. In the worst-case scenario, Taiwan may lose its winter by as early as 2060.
Is Taiwan doing enough to cut its carbon emissions?
Well, the short answer is no, and I'll explain why we don't think it's enough. So we do have President Tsai mentioning, like in the statement, that we want to align our goal to net zero 2050. But the statement is not actually enough because it will have to be encoded in the law for it to be enforced. So if it's not in an act, it may just be a statement and people can do nothing about it. But the problem is that the net zero 2050, the path to this goal is not yet written in Taiwan's legislation. We need to do more than what we're doing now.
I suppose my question is, what can people do? And that's both as individuals and also as members of a society to kind of put pressure on their governments or on larger organizations to act.
I would say people's consuming habit may work indirectly, because if people try their best to only buy eco-friendly and low-carbon products, the changed behaviors may support the voice asking governments to limit emission.
I think people who think individuals cannot compete their level of influence with corporation, this statement is absolutely correct, because of course they are conglomerates, they are huge companies, they take up more percentage of carbon emissions. But when we try to persuade people to cut emissions on an individual level, the action has meanings in two folds. So the first is, of course, they are cutting emissions, but the second one is actually more important, which is to show their stance on the issue. Because when people are choosing to buy some low emission products, or when they are choosing to vote for the politicians who support a more sustainable policies, we're actually making statements and we're telling them that we care about it. Not only on those levels, but also to show your friends and family to join the movement on pushing for a better, a more holistic policies and actions. So of course, in short, individual levels, of course it's not going to change the climate. It's such a huge thing. But individual attentions to the issue and dedication to the issue do push the higher levels of actions to come together.
We'll have links to the Taiwan Youth Climate Coalition below. And if you want to take action, go to a protest, write to your legislator, tell them we need to divest from fossil fuels as quickly as possible and invest in green energy. And there are ways you can take individual action too. Researchers found the ways to make the biggest impact are to have fewer children, commit to living car-free, fly less, buy green energy for your home, and switch to a plant-based diet. Next up, Taiwan is using plant life to send a very different kind of message. Natalie Tso has the story.
Taiwan's International Orchid Show opens this Saturday in Tainan. This time, the Flower Expo features a nod to Ukraine. People can enjoy the elegant world of orchids at the Taiwan International Orchid Show starting Saturday, March 26th. The event will go until April 5th at the Tainan Orchid Plantation. Tainan Mayor Han-wei took a tour of the beautiful exhibit. This year, the main attraction is orchids that pay tribute to Ukraine. Taiwan made blue and yellow orchids, a nod to Ukraine's flag, with the help of nanotechnology. 300 of these flowers will be on sale and proceeds will be donated to aid Ukrainian refugees. Taiwan is known as a global hub for orchid cultivation. Mayor Huang says the brilliant orchids represent Taiwan's innovation and the growers' hard work. Visitors who can show proof that they booked a stay at a participating hotel in Tainan this year can receive one of these small orchids. It's a great time to visit Tainan.
Taiwan is a multilingual and culturally diverse society. The Education Ministry now has a children's book series in 8 different languages.
For children who love to read, these new books provide the opportunity to learn in 8 different languages. Besides the Mandarin usually seen in Taiwanese books, these special publications also contain translations into 7 of the most common Southeast Asian languages heard in Taiwan. These include Vietnamese, Indonesian, Tagalog, and more. Education Ministry official Liao says that the ministry has completed 3 unique sets of these new learning materials. Each set is made up of 10 beautifully illustrated picture books, which Li says are sure to attract the eyes of young students. Immigration official Li Mingfang says these new language materials were produced after 5 years of dedicated research. Li says the goal is to allow students of various backgrounds to be able to learn their mother tongue both at home and at school. These new books not only teach new language skills, they also introduce the culture and history from the countries. Administrators say they hope these books will increase Taiwan's acceptance of the many different ethnicities and nationalities that inhabit the country. The ministry says that these new book sets are suitable for children from kindergarten to 2nd grade. Immigrant parents will be able to read these stories to their children in their native tongue, and each book comes with a related game and discussion activity. The ministry says these books can also help immigrant parents learn Mandarin, as they see texts in the 2 different languages side by side. Many of these books have already been sent to libraries across the country, and digital versions have been uploaded online. Now, young bookworms have even more opportunities to enjoy reading in their mother tongues.
At 1:41 a.m. on Wednesday, a magnitude 6.6 earthquake hit Taiwan. Only 1 person was injured, but some infrastructure sustained a bit of damage. Now, seismologists say that this is one of the top 5 biggest quakes in the past 25 years or so to hit Taiwan.
The earth shook in Taiwan after midnight on Wednesday, arousing many people from sleep. This magnitude 6.6 earthquake was the strongest this year. Its epicenter was located at a depth of over 30 kilometers off the coast of Hualien in eastern Taiwan. The intensity registered at 6- on the 7-tier Taiwanese measurement scale. Luckily, only 1 person was injured. Central Weather Bureau Seismological Center head Chen says that a rupture in the Earth's crust caused the release of energy through a series of quakes starting after midnight. The quake and the following aftershocks up to 6.1 in magnitude were felt everywhere in Taiwan. Authorities recorded a total of 60 aftershocks with magnitude over 3 originating from the same area. So much activity has scientists worried about the nearby Tsusang Fault. National Taiwan University geology professor Chen says that earthquakes like this one release massive amounts of energy. This, in turn, can trigger quakes in neighboring faults earlier than they would happen otherwise. Earthquakes happen in tectonic subduction zones fairly regularly, unlike those that originate on or near land. Only a handful of those were recorded since a devastating earthquake in 1999 which killed nearly 2,500 people. Two strongest ones happened on one day in 2006 of Pingtung County with magnitudes over 6.9. Third on the list is an earthquake which shook Hualien City in 2009. The magnitude of Wednesday's quake places it fourth in the ranking. The release of energy during Wednesday's quake was so great that Taiwan might see medium and small-scale earthquakes for up to 2 months from now. This most recent quake also left some scientists shaken up on whether Taiwan should brace for more geological activity in the future.
Next up, Leslie gets a blast from the past in Hashtag Taiwan.
Take a look at this picture. Now, what do you think you're looking at there? I'll tell you about what I thought about that picture when I first saw it. I thought I was looking at the cast of some old Taiwanese coming-of-age sitcom. If you're like me, then congratulations, you're dead wrong. These 9 people, though they are on TV now, they were not when they looked like that. So what is this collection of 9 portraits of some stylish and impressive-looking people? Well, I'll give you a hint. No? Well, that one's a little hard. How about this one? Still no? Alright, well, this one will definitely give it away. If by this point you're still scratching your head as to whom you're looking at, I'll tell you flat out. You are looking at 9 of Taiwan's city mayors and county magistrates when they were young. You have Taipei Mayor Ke Wen-je, New Taipei Mayor Hou You-yi, Keelung Mayor Lin You-chang, Taoyuan City Mayor Zheng Wen-can, Hsinchu City Mayor Lin Zijian, Kaohsiung City Mayor Chen Qimai, Taichung City Mayor Lu Xiuyan, Miaoli County Magistrate Xu Yaocang, and Yilan County Magistrate Lin Zimiao. This picture started circulating social media earlier this week. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when I first saw the picture, my reaction was, wow, they look really good. And you know what? Taiwan's internet agreed with me. You have many people online fawning over how great their local leaders looked back in the day. In particular though, when the portraits first made the rounds, people were blown away by Keelung Mayor Lin You-chang. Like, I want to say every other comment I saw on the portrait was commenting on just what an absolute smoke show Lin was. I mean, that guy, he can get it. Then, the road led to the inevitable question, what happened? The takeaway for Taiwan's internet users was, time is cruel. But then you have other people who blame these leaders' careers, saying things like, public service is scary. So popular was Lin's portrait that reporters asked him about it. And in response, Lin said, youth is a wonderful thing. But I find it a bit of a shame that these county magistrates and city mayors didn't start their TV careers back then. I mean, they're on TV all the time now, but can you imagine their ratings if you had this telling you the changes to the city ordinance law?
And now before we leave you, let's take a look at some of the other stories that are on our radar.
Marshall Islands President David Kabua arrived in Taiwan on Monday for a 5-day visit. This is his first visit to Taiwan since he took office in 2020. The Marshall Islands is one of 14 countries that have full diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Kabua met with President Tsai Ing-wen on Tuesday and presented a resolution from the Marshall Islands government voicing support for Taiwan and urging the UN to include the country. President Tsai Ing-wen in turn presented Kabua with Taiwan's highest civilian order, the Order of Brilliant Jade with Grand Cordon. President Tsai Ing-wen met former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe via a video conference on Tuesday. Tsai and Abe spoke about disaster and pandemic prevention, Taiwan's bid to join the CPTPP, and the Russia-Ukraine war's impact on the Indo-Pacific region. Next month, Taiwan will lift its ban on food imports from Japan's Fukushima area. Tsai said the policy change shows Taiwan's willingness to comply with international standards to overcome trade barriers. Taiwan's national COVID-19 vaccination appointment booking system, known as 1922, is set to close on April 1st. Authorities have made that decision due to the falling number of appointments. Nearly 80% of Taiwan's population have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. At the same time, over 700,000 doses of COVID vaccines are set to expire before the end of March. It will be the most doses Taiwan has discarded in 1 month since the beginning of the pandemic.
And we're back in the studio for our final question of the week. And this week, I'm going to be asking my co-hosts, well, guys, the president has said that she wants Taiwan to be a net zero carbon country by 2050. Now, that is not something that Tsai Ing-wen can do herself. We all got to pitch in, right? Yeah. So my question is, what will you guys do to kind of reduce your carbon footprint and help us move towards this goal, Stash?
Well, I am currently doing a lot of cycling.
Oh, nice.
So actually, as it turns out, I don't know how to drive yet. I will be learning, but I'm living a car-free existence in that sense, and that is one of the best things that you can do to reduce your carbon footprint is rely less on cars, use public transport, cycle, look for alternate means of transportation generally.
Offsetting my car drive.
Me too.
Natalie?
That's a good idea. Well, I'm going to minimize the things that I buy and minimize the things that I own. So less plastic, less things that we own, the less we are, polluting the environment.
Less clutter.
Less
That's
clutter.
always good. You find yourself moving around a little better. For me, I'm going to reuse a lot of things, actually.
Good
if
idea.
you go to my house, if you come to my house, you will see that we have a lot of plastic bottles left over, glass jars from like packaging of goods that we use. And this is something that my dad did, and that it used to like get on my nerves. But I was just like, as this green living becomes more popular, I think it was just like, maybe that guy's got a point.
He's onto something.
He's onto something here. So that's about all the time we have for this week's show. Thank you for joining us. For Taiwan Insider, I'm Liao.
I'm Staś Butler.
And I'm Natalie Tso.
Make sure to follow us on social media. You can catch us on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, and leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. If you have any good ideas for how to lower your carbon footprint, put it down below.
That's right. And you can, if you're shy, you can send us a message or tweet at us. Our handle is Taiwan Insider, one word. Anyway, guys, until next week, have a great day, and we'll see you then.
Bye.